Did your boss set marketing goals that look a little bit like this? 10 billion impressions, 1 million followers, 100,000 downloads. Cool. Those are big numbers. So how the heck are you going to go about achieving these? I mean, you know how to get there, right? Gotcha. Yeah, you're right. It's harder than it looks. But don't worry. The flywheel factor has got you covered. All right, you need to know how to get from where you're at, which is probably about 0, to where you need to be, millions of something or other. Let's start with the obvious here. How did your company get to those goals? And why? The most common issue with goal setting is that it is not SMART. You know, S-M-A-R-T. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. SMART. Not saying that someone pulled those numbers out of thin air, but well, actually, usually someone did pull those numbers out of thin air. So let's take a look at the million followers goal. Sure, we all want 1 million followers. It would mean that we're popular and cool and, well, followed. But why? And what for? In the SMART goal world, it's measurable, but it falls short on the other factors. Is it achievable? Well, that depends. Do you know what kind of time, money, resources, and efforts need to go into your plan to get to 1 million followers? Do you have this time, money, and resources? This is where you need to determine your leading indicators. Leading indicators are known inputs and factors that create a predictable outcome. An example of this is calories. Consumption of calories will lead to an outcome of weight gain or loss. So if I want to lose weight, I consume X% less calories. In this case, you would have to know the indicators that would lead to followers, and you should be able to control those indicators too. So you can't just say, oh, we're going to have a viral tweet. That's hard to predict. So for the ease of explanation, let's say that a follower on Twitter costs around $4. This is how much you would have to spend to get a real person, not a robot, to hit the follow button. You'd have to spend $4 million on a Twitter follower campaign. There are other leading indicators that can lower or raise the cost of that ad spend, some that you can't fully control, like world events or viral tweets, but for simplicity, that is what we'd need to achieve that 1 million followers. If you don't have $4 million, I mean, most of us don't, then it's not as achievable. It's not impossible, but it's better to set your goal using more predictable indicators. Now, if you skip to the timely part of the SMART goal setting, perhaps you know that posting daily to YouTube would bring about 50 followers per day, and perhaps it accelerates to 500 per day once you hit 100,000. It'll take you about 5.5 years to get to 100,000 and another 5 years or so to hit 1 million. So let's say 10 years. If you do not have 10 years, then it's not really achievable either. Let's see, relevant. Is 1 million followers or 10 billion impressions relevant? What are you or your boss ultimately trying to achieve? Are you selling something? Do you know that a certain amount of followers or impressions will help you get there? Don't assume that having a lot of followers or impressions are leading indicators for your ultimate goal. HubSpot, a customer relationship management platform, knew that blog posts created sales leads. They were actually so good at measuring this that they discovered that increasing blog posts from 3 to 5 per week led to a 25% increase in sales leads. So they could safely bet that increasing blog posts from 5 to 7 per week would increase their leads again. Now that's relevant. Once again, it comes down to understanding your leading indicators and how they help you achieve your goals. So let's go back to achieving that seemingly random goal. Here is a process to help you go back to your boss and present a SMART goal that you can both agree with. Number 1, create a broad objective, one that ties to the business goals. This doesn't require specifics yet. We're just looking to narrow our focus. So it could be raising your company's profile or driving sales leads. Either or. Number 2, ask yourself the question, do I know what's been done in the past that has helped achieve this? You may have data from past campaigns or results from previous marketing initiatives to pull from. It's best to have numbers, but you could also have something like, when I attended that conference and spoke to 10 people, we had 2 solid leads. Now, if you don't have data, this is when you can start running some experiments. Spend some money on various platforms and see what it brings. This can create your leading indicators, which which is number 3. Back to those followers, if you want to see what it costs to get a follower, experiment with it. Once you have that number, say it's $4 per follower or $75 per newsletter sign up or the like, you know that leading indicator. Now, smart companies setting smart goals can use that indicator to try to make it more efficient. Maybe you can reduce the cost per follower with better and funnier copy. Either way, you're on your way to setting marketing goals like a boss, or at least in a way that you and your boss can live in harmony. This has been the Flywheel Factor, and I'm your host, Tara Hunt. Hey, me again. Now, this is a very simplified, quick lesson on setting SMART goals, and it's obviously more complicated than this. But here's hoping that you have a good basis to get started. Now, if you need more, we've created all sorts of digital tools and deep dive masterclasses on this stuff over at flywheel.com. That's flywheel with a PH. This lesson is part of a faster class called Build Smart-Based Content Strategies. There is a link in the description below that will take you there to check it out.